Hey, hey! It's Monday, so it must be time for
More Mondays.
Mondays. We got to practice that.
We got to work on that.
Let's do a little. What's up, my partner in crime? How you doing tonight, Jeff?
Busy, man. It's been a busy weekend. It was a biggie day. Man, like I said, like we were talking before, I had my first sale on Whatnot.
I know. That's why we were a little late, is because I was like, what is this? What? I ain't heard about that.
Yeah, new selling app. They started selling with just like Funkos and Pokemon cards, and they've been pushing a lot to get comic sellers on there and doing a comic platform. So they open that up to comic dealers right now. They just got a Series B venture capital round that just went out. So they got a ton of money, and they're just kind of been building up this platform to try and be the next kind of cross between eBay and Instagram kind of put together. Okay. So that's what they're trying to do right now. So my first test today, and then my big show is Wednesday night. So Wednesday at 8 o'clock Central Time is going to be the big show on there. But what have you been doing, man?
Now I want to do this because, I heard
the invite's coming. You
made like $10,000 or something, right?
Give or take 1,000, or 10.
Oh man, it was a little busy weekend with some personal stuff, and this new job's keeping me busy, and
right.
Of course, you've seen, and a few other people have seen it. Gorilla Todd has seen it, and you've seen it, and so we got something special that's going to be coming here in about a week. So, been kind of throwing out the little hints to people, and
it's going to be cool. You guys are going to be excited about this.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's been a little passion project for a while, and I finally sat down and started doing it. So. But, pretty neat.
Very cool. Yeah. Captain Beardo, how's it going?
Card Shop was the first one in here. He said he thought he was 20 minutes late, but he was an hour early.
Better early than late.
Yep. Gorilla Todd's in here. What's up, my other partner in crime on Saturday nights and sometimes Wednesdays. I think he's got some plans for the summer. He just got out of school, and so I think he's planning on doing a lot of cool stuff.
He's got no class. That gorilla, man.
That's right. That's the old Fat Albert joke, You like summer, no class. So, but got Captain Beardo. So a few people popping in. I didn't blast everybody's IG like I normally do. It was around 3 o'clock today, and I was like, "Oh crap, we got a show tonight." So.
That's right. That's all right. It's a new format, faster, leaner, meaner. So we'll get in and out in here pretty quick. We got some great information. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the industry, but we also got some pretty cool rare variants you should be looking for.
Yeah, let's get into it. Yeah. So the thing for the last couple of weeks, and this is our 10th episode. Somebody should have got us a cake or something.
That's right. Yeah. 10 already.
10 episodes, man.
But like just yesterday.
Huh?
It feels like just yesterday.
Just yesterday. I know. So it's been, now that'll be 2.5 months. Something like that.
Yeah.
Every week. So
every week.
So that's crazy. But we had a few things that we had done way back that were smaller, little, episodes we thought, and we had saved them up. And I think just both of us been busy and hadn't had a chance to devote time to a bigger topic. So we've been kind of clearing out the old can, so to speak. And so tonight we're going to talk about probably the two most things I've gotten a lot of questions about. The first is Pizzazz Inserts, and then the second is about the comic market. So I'll be sharing some of my insights on that. But yeah, let's jump into it. I will share about, let's see. I think I'm finally getting the hang of all this.
We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I'm getting there. So, a little something about, need some more pizzazz in our life. But Pizzazz Magazine was a magazine published by Marvel Comics from 1977 to 79 for 16 issues. Aimed at youth culture, Pizzazz mostly contained articles about popular music, rock stars, as well as comic strips and puzzles. And I've actually got a few Pizzazz magazines in my collection. And I'll tell you, this is probably the stupidest thing I've ever looked at. It's supposed to be to like young adult and stuff, and you could tell it's just written by a bunch of old guys that had no clue of what young adults was actually reading. So
pretty much
wanted to read. So it's really bad. It is really bad. But the only good thing about it was Star Wars. The magazine's probably biggest claim to fame was that it serialized Star Wars that was not directly adapted from the film. So before Star Wars #7, which was the first original story in comic books, Pizzazz actually put out, and this was before the 1978 novel, which is the first original novel, Splinter of the Mind's Eye. But they actually put out some small original stories. They're only about 4 pages each. Find them. Yeah. So here is, I'll show.
Zoom in there.
Yeah. Oops.
Or kick yourself out.
I said I'm learning, but so yeah. But like I said, it's only this one's only like 3 pages. But this was written. I mean, Archie Goodwin wrote all of them, I believe, but this is art by Walt Simonson and inks by Claudius Janson. So I mean, two future stars of the Marvel universe, right? Walt Simonson, of course, with Thor, and Janson, of course, with his work on Daredevil and such. But this was back from 1977. So this before they were hot artists and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of cool.
Did the Heavy Metal magazine. He did the Aliens movie adaptation.
Really?
So that was the first Aliens in comics, was the movie adaptation done in Heavy Metal magazine. So he was doing these magazine movie adaptation things long before he was doing the other comic stuff.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that. See? So there we go. But there was 2 stories. One was called The Keeper's World. That was by the same team that did the movie adaptation. So Roy Thomas, Howard Chaykin, and Tony DeZinga. This story was later reprinted in Dark Horse. And then the second story, The Kingdom of Ice, which I was just showing there, was written by Archie Goodwin, then Walt Simon and Claudius Janson. But they also had some fill-in inkers like Dave Cockrum, X-Men fame, and John Targaglione. The first chapter was printed in issue 16, which is what I was showing here. But the second 2 chapters, which were supposed to be in 17 and 18, were never published because the magazine ended. It was eventually published in Star Wars Weekly, which was the British Star Wars book that came out, but it's never been reprinted anywhere else. So it is very hard to find the complete run of that story. And like I said, I just showed the first 3 pages of that. But the next 2 chapters are somewhere. Hey, Matthew Fox. Are somewhere in the Star Wars books, and I haven't had an opportunity to track those down anywhere. So anybody knows, I'm a buyer. But so we're talking about Pizzazz Inserts. Now, to promote the magazine and subscriptions, Pizzazz Inserts was included in various Marvel comics from only January 1978 to April of 78. And it was only in this run of books here. So the problem is, like you and I discussed with some of these inserts, is none of these are key issues. So they don't get a lot of hype. They don't get a lot of attention. These inserts were held in by one staple, as you see there. And I apologize. I did have some Pizzazz inserts I was going to show, but I have been rearranging, and I don't know where I put them. But it's only these 12 books and then 3 issues in each of those books. So not a lot of people know about these, and they're curious when they find them. However, when you do find them, it pretty much doubles the value of the books. I've since none of these are key issues, even high grades of these books usually aren't over $10. So with a Pizzazz insert, it's usually around $20. Except for the Star Wars books. Star Wars is hot, of course. So 7, 8, 9, and 10. I do have a copy. I think I have a 7, 8, and 9 with Pizzazz inserts.
Nice.
Those high grade copies can now go for about $35. So with the Pizzazz inserts, those Star Wars books do go for about $60 to $70.
Yeah. They're harder to find, and like you said, I mean, only you can find them a few times. Like I saw one in like a VG. It was beat up, but it was still I think 18 or $20 for the Star Wars one, because they are a little more rare. And when we talk about Mark Jewelers, this is even more rare than a Mark Jewelers. You know?
Even rare, yeah. So yeah. There was your show me the money.
And if I got to ride your ass like Zorro, you gonna show me the money. You gonna show me the money. Shit.
So that's your show me the money moment for the show. But yeah, so it's kind of an interesting little thing. Like I said, not a lot of oh my God, you cat. Not a lot of conversation, but I have had a few people reach out to me asking about this because of the show and stuff. So, you know, I'm glad that we've become some people that think they can reach out to us because we might have some knowledge. So yeah, that was kind of it. So yeah, Pizzazz magazine, kind of a weird little oddity of Marvel from the late 70s, and you know, Pizzazz inserts. So be on the lookout.
Yeah, K-pop has it going. Scarecrow, that's pretty cool. And the Card Shop Reality's got that Pizzazz. Has got the Pizzazz hanging up on the shop.
Oh, does he? All right, yeah. I have a couple Marvel Tales, but I didn't know what they were. Where was Card Shop? There he is. I have a Thor. Wow. Very cool. Well, I know he likes keeping stuff on the wall there at his shop. I can't wait to visit at Christmas time and go over there and see him. So, but let me know if you want to sell that. All right. So the next thing we have is, this is discussion Jeff and I had a long time ago, talking about, you know, people discussing, you know, whether there's a bust coming and, you know, things like that. And he asked me some of my insights, and yeah, I think what Jeff and I had kind of thought about was, maybe people are thinking there is a bust coming because of what has happened in the past, meaning the 90s bust that occurred.
Right.
So I started talking back and forth to Jeff, and he's like, you need to write this stuff down. So I typed it up, and here was kind of my list. And this is strictly me, my opinion, because I had a store that actually closed due to the bust. What had happened, I'll tell you the exact reason. What hurt me is, back then, You ordered your books through Diamond or Capital, and I used Capital. Let me switch to both of us real quick. And I switched to Cap, and I was using Capital. Diamond was the little kid on the block, and was mainly used for restock purposes. Okay. But you ordered things 3 months in advance. So, when you're ordering issue 1, or issue 3, issue 1 is just coming out. And with Image and Valiant both, I'll throw them in, they had a lot of problems with getting books out on time. Sometimes 8-9 months late.
Well, especially Image. Valiant was usually pretty good. In the beginning, Valiant was pretty good.
Yeah. And so you had a lot of speculators that in the market that was saying, hey, I want to pre-order 10 copies or whatever, right? And then those books wouldn't come out on time. It may be a year later in some cases when they do come out, and no one cares. But, no one cares by that time. So you're stuck with a lot of books that you just couldn't sell. What really hurt me was you allotted how much money you were going to spend each week on books. And when things came out late, all of a sudden you might get hit with $1,000 bill you didn't expect. Because all of a sudden all these books came out at one time.
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
So because you always try to spread your stuff out, to where each week maybe you're only spending $200 or $300. But when you're hit with a couple of big $1,000, and for me that was big because I was a small store,
right? And people didn't care about those issues anymore, and they weren't buying them.
No one cares about them, and you're struggling to pull together the money. I mean, that's what really killed me. So.
Yeah, no one wanted a long box full of Turok #1 anymore.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Or, Archer and Armstrong #10, when you ordered 25 copies of that way back and it was late.
Right. Because in the beginning it was on fire. You have Frank Miller cover, people are specking on it. This is great. And then it fell off so quick.
Yeah.
No one cared.
Very quick. So here was my insights of what was happening in the 90s and compared to today. And maybe this is some of the reasons why people wondering if there's going to be a comic bust. So one is 2 major companies soliciting higher volume with lower quality. Well, that's a big check for today, right? And that was going on back there in the 90s. Independent companies gaining popularity due to really great stories. Well, check. Independent books are freaking going nuts right now. Soliciting high number of variants and promotional books to help boost sales. Well, that's a big check. They've been doing tons of variant covers. Independent companies are jumping in on this. And that's all that is. I mean, that is a way to try and boost sales because like we talked about in our variant cover episode, these variants are ratio variants, mostly what we're talking about, right? Like 1 in 25s, 1 in 50s, meaning that they're trying to push the comic book stores to increase the number that they're purchasing in order to get that variant. So it's just an artificial way to boost sales that really has no reflection on perhaps the way the book itself is doing.
Right. Or you've got 6 different covers of a book. I mean, before only X-Men 1 never did that. Now it's a common thing where everyone was having 4, 5, 6 covers, not including obviously all the, store exclusives that have been coming out as well. So now you got all of those. So people are paying extra thousands for that store, and that store. Yeah. So it's definitely getting a lot of printed out there.
Yeah. And I wrote this about 3 months ago, and I think promotional books, I probably have miswritten that. Now thinking about after our episode of variant covers, probably meaning what you're talking about, which is all those variant covers. Increasing number of investors entering the market and driving up prices. Well, it's a check mark. I mean, there's a lot of complaints about speculators and, people or investors, coming into the market, buying these. I actually just saw an article, talking about one of the big auction houses, Heritage or somebody, and talking about there being like this very small community of known people that purchase these rare high graded books directly from these companies, right? And it's just a small handful of people that really are doing it as investments and really have no I don't want to say anything negative like passion or anything like that, but they're investors. Let's just call it that.
Sure.
A high number of speculators in the market purchasing low value books in the hope of prices increasing. That's a check mark. There's a lot of people saying, "Hey, this might be in the next MCU movie. This might be right." So those trying to find those low value minor keys. I mean, there's even apps for it now, right? That that has a button on their app called speculation. They'll give you a list of low value books, and you see YouTube videos talking about what are some minor keys that are out there that might be valuable later.
Yep.
More people entering the market with no concern of the intrinsic value of books, but only the extrinsic. In the 90s, you saw a lot of cross-pollination of card collectors when cards went kind of bust in the early 90s, moving over to comics. You're seeing a lot of the same things today with coin collectors. The coin market, I think, has done a dip in the past couple of years. And I've seen quite a few coin collectors coming in to the comic book market. And then short-term flippers. There are people that, maybe due to whatever reason, COVID, things took a dump. Their own business slowed down. Bill Cat 60, who's a friend of both of ours.
Yep.
But he said on your show, a couple of weeks ago, he said, my website business took a dump during COVID. I'd never thought about doing comic books. I used to flip storage units. And he said that's why I got into it, and I think he's started having a love of comics, but
for sure.
I mean, that is an example.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a big influx of people coming in from, as a lot of us have heard and seen, the card market, they've been coming over. So when the card market, they're used to seeing tens of thousands of high grade copies of cards. And they come over to the comic book side and say, there's only 2,000 of, say, an Ultimate Fallout, 9.8. They're used to seeing tens of thousands of a high grade one. So like, well, 2,000 is nothing. There's still plenty of room in here, and they don't mind dropping big dollars for those for it to go up. A lot of people, like I said, because of COVID, they're at home. They're reminiscing a little bit. They have some extra time. They start reading comics, get into comics again because the whole nostalgia thing's coming back.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I was in the comic book stores the past few weekends, there's just a long train of usually guys coming in with their kids saying, "Hey, these are the books that I used to read," and they're introducing the kids to this. I mean, you've got this big boom of the MCU, which I know we're going to talk about. That's making everything more nostalgic and people remembering, hey, I remember when that came out. I remember reading about that. And it's getting people to come back in to the industry and introduce their kids into the industry. So Marvel's doing a great job of bringing outside people back into it as well.
Yeah, I think Marvel's been doing fairly well. So the last two, large number of indie, that's what I call them, independent companies, causing the market to become thin. So the thing is here is that people have only a certain amount of disposable income. Like I can only spend, making up a number, $20 a week on books. Well, when you have this influx of a large number of new independent companies, or, Absolute Comics, right? I mean, that's a fairly new company that has popped onto the scene. Was the company that's already come and gone. Bad idea, already announcing they're folding before they even have anything. But,
they made all their money already. They're fine.
Yeah. So what that does, that thins people's money, right? It has to spread it across a lot of, a lot of different companies. And then the rapid increase in comic sales and prices that seem unsustainable. And we definitely, that's probably the biggest one right there, is people have seen this huge increase in prices over a short period of time. And as with any market, something like that just seems unsustainable. Now, the question is, does that mean you're headed for a bust, or are you headed for a leveling off period? And, most people say when you have that very steep slope that moves up very quickly, then normally that means a bust on the other side versus a leveling off. So there are a few differences I was able to outline between the 90s and today. One, in the 90s, the market was artificially inflated. For example, 8 million copies of X-Men 1 or The Death of Superman. Today, there are much lower print runs, and no major comic book events are driving the market currently. In fact, most people are kind of tired of like the crazy Marvel events and DC events, where they're restarting their books, especially DC. So, that's a big difference, I think. You're not talking about millions of print runs anymore. You're talking about 30,000, 40,000, print runs. Comic companies overextended within the market. So, for example, Marvel buying multiple companies, like toy, card, and distribution. Hey, Marcella. DC's owned by AT&T and Marvel's owned by Disney. I don't think you're going to see those companies, going under, right? Marvel was a company unto itself that was purchasing a bunch of other little companies, right? I think they are pretty stable and are in no fear of going bankrupt like Marvel did because of the larger companies that owns them. Lastly, there was little to no diversification within the comics. For example, movies, TV shows. There were some video games, but granted, they were kind of bad. Diversity seems to be pushing the secondary market a lot more now than it was in the 90s. So in the 90s, you had this artificial, what I call artificial inflation, meaning that there was nothing behind it pushing it except for its own speculation, where today what seems to be pushing that secondary market is more diversity in terms of, this person may be in the MCU or something like that, right? So, there is some diversification that's occurring, but like I say here, although if that can be sustainable, that's also a bit debatable. So anyway, I think I already said this. So some feel that we're not headed for a crash, but at least a corrective downturn. Peaks and valleys are normal in the comic market and can be plotted through its history. So I actually drew this out. So if we look all the way back to the 1940s, the top of the line is the up periods, and then the bottom of the line is the down periods. You actually see a very sequential period in which there were downturns. So now each of those downturns were caused by different things, but the point is it's not uncommon in our market to have these ups and downs. So In the 1940s, comics and things were hot. It went down in the 60s due to the Comics Code. It started going back up again in the 60s with Marvel. It went back down again in the 70s. It started going back up again in the 80s and early 90s with Star Wars rejuvenating the market, the black and white explosion, then variants and indies, such as Image. But then it went back down again in the mid 90s, right? With like late issues coming out from Image and other companies, Marvel declaring bankruptcy. And then it slowly started picking back up again with movies such as Blade and X-Men, Marvel producing some better books, period, in the 2000s. And now we've kind of reached that height, so to speak, between 2010 and today. So if we look at the history, it is time for a downturn, which occurs about every 25 to 30 years. And the last downturn we had was in 1995. So this is now 25 years later. So it is time for us to actually have a downturn in the market. So that is it. That is kind of my perspective on what it is.
Yep.
I think one, it's an inevitability, as Thanos would say, that there is going to be a downturn occurring. Just looking through history, I think the comics market's in a better position, through diversity and through ownership of larger companies that, I don't think you'll see a huge bust, but I think it's more the secondary market. I mean, we're seeing some crazy prices for stuff, wackadoodle prices.
We consider them wackadoodle, but you think you've got two big things that are kind of driving it right now, and that I can definitely see easy going away. Like Card Shop, mention, the stimulus check happened during COVID. People had some extra money, that went to disposable income stuff like comics. And like I said, I really believe if you took the MCU out of the equation, let's say, for example, Iron Man 1 with Robert Downey Jr. bombs, and Marvel, really goes belly up and sells everything off, basically, we wouldn't be in where we're at right now. The MCU is driving this. If you take the MCU out of this, you're going to get a huge leveling off downturn on a lot of this stuff. But we know DC and AT&T are not in the best of terms, and I think they've already split off. So DC's has had their problems right now. Their movies aren't as good as MCU movies, but you see how the MCU spec, and you're starting to see people getting tired of it a little bit. A lot of people were speccing on Mephisto, Omega Red. They're going to be there. That's them. That's Mephisto. That didn't happen. Those books spiked way up, and then they came back down. So you're starting to see some buyers and sellers kind of coming back a little bit, going, okay, Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm not going to do as much in there because things aren't as popping as we thought they might do, like a movie does compared to the shows. So if the movies, for some reason, start taking a downturn and not producing as much, you've got the, Infinity War, doing this huge, $1 billion global enterprise right there. And then if everything else starts getting lower and lower and lower, and then Disney's saying, maybe we don't want to put out 4 or 5 movies a year, maybe we're only going to do 1 or 2. That's going to start making the comics downturn a little bit as well. Like you said, it's not going to be a global bust, or anything like that. But there should be a correction, and it should come down. And I think it's going to be some people, like I said, getting tired of, spending and speccing on all this stuff, and it never comes to fruition. They're going to feel like they're burned a little bit, and they're going to back off a little bit more. But you're still going to have the major keys, I think, are still going to keep going up. Those are always your blue chip ones. Those are ones that are going to have the value and keep going. But like you said, it's the lower price, minor key ones that, hey, maybe the Council of Kangs will appear, and you should buy this for $20 now because it's going to be a $150 book later. I don't know.
Yeah. And card shop, if what you're talking about, AT&T actually didn't sell DC. What they did is they just split off Warner Brothers Media, which is part of AT&T, and they're still part of AT&T. They just split it off into its own media, so they could. What the plan had been originally was AT&T is a phone company, right? And they did direct TV, and they had thought that owning a media company, they could somehow turn that into a big streaming service and things like that. But their direct TV market just did not pan out over the past couple of years. So they've separated Warner Media off to the side. And then Warner Media is going to join with Discovery, but Warner Media still owns 51% of that. But the CEO of Discovery will be the CEO of the new Warner Brothers Discovery, I think they're calling it. So, yeah, so it's still actually owned by AT&T. It's just split off now.
Right.
Into
but I think it's setting it up to where they could eventually sell it to someone else. The movies haven't been as good.
You build it up. Yeah, you build it up a little bit. It's a good move to try and gain some equity in that company to where perhaps it could be sold. Of course.
Yep.
There's something I was thinking of, and it's slipped my mind now. After talking about that, but
yeah, we'll see how the Loki show does. I'm excited to see Loki.
Oh my god, I can't wait for that show.
I heard Mephisto's going to be in it,
and I'm a huge Owen Wilson fan, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, we need a fun one. I mean, Wanda was a different turn. Falcon and Winter Soldier brought us more towards the typical kind of Marvel thing. And I think Loki's going to bring a lot more fun to this.
It is. It starts this Wednesday, I think.
This week.
Yeah, I think it's Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So, but yeah, very excited about that. For the past 4 weeks, what they doing is showing a new preview every Wednesday in anticipation of the launch.
Right. Now, I will say just one more thing about.
Yeah, go ahead. I need to step away real quick. I'm going to make you big. I think I can.
Go.
Oops, that's me. I don't know how to do this.
Sweet. What?
How to make you.
Go.
Gosh damn it. Cat, stop biting me.
It's fine. We can just put your Galactus in front of you right there and we'll be good.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll be right back. Sorry.
So I think one of the other things, that we can probably see in the, possible bust or correction, I'm not going to say it's a bust, possible correction, is, as Shelby said, some of these other independent comic book companies that are popping up really quick, they're getting a little traction right away and they're starting to do some big runs. I can see some of those possibly going away, but I don't see anything going with Marvel at all. Obviously we saw with Jupiter's Legacy, Miller's stuff that he's doing, they didn't
already canceled.
Already gone.
Already
one and done. He's got supposedly 2 other ones that are in the works that are going to be done. I don't know. I mean, his books weren't that popular to begin with in the scope of things. So I think some of those indie ones are going to potentially go away a little bit sooner. But I don't think that's going to affect, obviously Marvel and DC. Well, Marvel for sure. DC, you never know what's going on. DC will always be around, but DC keeps rebooting itself left and right. And, as we know, just in the speculation world, spec on DC stuff is never as good as Marvel.
Yeah, and I remember what I was going to say is right now we're in the middle of an inflation. So from my understanding, I'm not an economist, of course.
He only plays one on YouTube.
I'm just going to act like one on YouTube. That's when we have a lot of money out in the market without anything to back it. And of course, that's what's happened with like stimulus checks and things like that. The increase in unemployment benefits and stuff. We have a lot of extra money out in the market that wasn't earned, so to speak, right? And what that does is that causes an inflation in prices. So we're seeing oil prices, gas prices increase. We're seeing food prices actually going up across the nation. And some people have said that also has trickled over to the comic book market too. That's just a natural inflation that is causing this secondary market to be artificially higher than what it should be. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an economist. It sounds good. It sounds feasible.
Right.
I know that, Todd and I have been doing auctions together almost a year. In July will be a year. And we've seen some weeks where it's like, wow, how the heck did we sell so much stuff? And that causes the prices to go up. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, the only exception is still $1.99. So, but
yeah, it's definitely a fun topic to talk about, and because obviously a lot of people are talking about it right now. I don't know if you've heard of this crazy theory. I've heard some other YouTubers talk about it, that there's a lot of, I don't want to say the right thing, but let's just say unscrupulous kind of money coming into the industry because it's so liquid. If you want to move a lot of money into something and get it out pretty much the same day, you can do that with comic books right now. If you buy some big keys, yeah, that's, again, I have no idea where they're getting this from. I'm just repeating what I heard. I have no idea if it's true or not. But they're saying that there's some, kind of money that's really flowing into the industry, that because it's so liquid, they can turn around in the same day and sell a Hulk 181 and actually make more money off of it. But it's really just about putting their money into something and getting it out pretty quick and coming out clean.
I don't know. Comic books is a money laundering business, right? So,
well, comic books has a history with some of the mob stuff. So,
yeah, Jim Shooter looked like he might have broken a couple of kneecaps in his day. But
not all weeks like it. Come on, Gorilla. Every week is like that. You guys are killing it every week.
Oh no,
not you do it twice a week.
Yeah, not all weeks is like that. And in fact, Todd and I have talked about that. We've actually seen a bit of a decrease, in the past month, with some things. But
is there a decrease now because there's so many more channels and people selling and everything now?
Well, maybe that, everything waters down, right? People have only so much disposable income. And then when all these people, again, I think that's another side effect of what we're talking about with this, right? Is that we're seeing an artificial increase in people moving over into the market because they see a chance to do whatever. I mean,
right.
And I definitely don't want to say the wrong things and then someone go say Shelby's talking shit about, because I'm not. I'm happy that comic books is getting, for the most part, positive attention.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I love that. I love being part of this community, getting to, meet and do things like with you and Todd, getting to reacquaint myself with old friends like Card Shop and make new friends, around here. So I think it's a good thing.
It's a good time to be a nerd. I mean,
Yeah.
man, I'm happy to see all this stuff
Right.
explode and blow up everywhere. I love it. You
Right.
know, you go around, like I said, if you mention comics anywhere, I mean, people will just turn around and start talking with you. It's great. The sky is falling.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. You know,
It's right, Gorilla.
though, you got to ask yourself, why are there so many more people now doing auctions on YouTube? I'll just say that,
All right.
I'll leave up to whoever, to make that,
like you said, the more people that
right?
love it and are passionate and talk about it, and like you said, that could potentially be one thing. You've got a lot of speculators, a lot of people, saying I can do this, and like Todd said, the more people in this, the more people talking about it, the more movie ticket sales are done, the more people sign up to Disney Plus, and all it is just gonna do more for the whole comic industry as a whole.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why I think you and I started this, started this show, right? Is that, we don't want, it's not going to be an avenue of selling things. It's not going to be, it's going to be out of our love for comic books and our love for comic book history.
Right. We're not getting paid crazy ad money from YouTube. We're not getting paid anything. We spend hours a week just doing this just because we love talking about it and we love doing it for you guys. So, like I said, if there was one person watching or no people or a million, we're still doing it just because we love doing it.
We'll still be the same old Shelby and Jeff.
Just maybe with a few more comics behind me is all.
A few more comics. Yeah, a few more toys. But we also excuse me.
Card shop.
10 minutes from cute. Yeah, the auction. Cute.
It's all about so we can buy more of this.
Yeah, it is. It is. And we are trying to push things like, some t-shirts and things like that, which we'll do. But that's, again, a way of maybe people showing their support for us because, we do pay a little bit to StreamYard every month, to put this up.
And we give away comics, we.
So there is a little bit of money that, goes on, and not that we are ever asking for anything. But showing your support and, buying a t-shirt or something at a reasonable price, which we'll have coming up in about a week.
Plug, hint.
Little hint plug. So, there you go. Gorilla says, hey, my troop asks, and he feels like he needs to deliver. So, and K-pop says he needs to start selling. But, it's a good, like you said, I think it's a good time to be a nerd. It's a good time to be involved in comics. Whether, there's a, there's a lot of creativeness going on in the market too right now. But
all right, that's all we got.
That's all I got.
Keep another 30 minutes. We got close.
Yeah, no, we were actually done with the thing starting. We've done a little after 8:30, so have a little discussion. But let us know what you think below in the comments. We always love seeing the comments and reading the comments.
Absolutely.
If you're watching this after the fact, please, leave us a comment about what your thoughts are. And before we get too far along, we always want to do
got a PSA.
Hi, doggy. Nice doggy. Here, boy. Come on. Hi, fella.
walk away slowly.
He tried to bite me.
Never try to pet an animal you don't know. He may be lost, sick, or scared.
You mean he might be dangerous?
That's right. If we don't know, we leave him alone.
And we don't get bit. Now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
All right, don't go around petting strange animals. Like that.
That's same with people.
Say with people, don't be petting strange people you don't know. So
That kid was wearing socks and sandals and tennis shoes.
Oh man. So you know what so next week will be on, of course, Jeff's channel. Come up with a topic yet, or going surprise?
Not yet. I've got to narrow down to a couple, so I haven't decided which one we're going to do yet. Again, if anyone has any topics they want to talk about, any more weird inserts or ideas or anything, certainly shoot us a message on IG and put a comment down below. We respond to all the comments, and let us know what you're thinking. Or if you want to come on the show and talk about something that you're passionate about, you know a little bit more than, say, someone else, come on. You know, we're always welcome to have other people and help build the community up. So anything we can do to support the community, we're going to do.
Yeah, we would love that. We would love to have you visit. You know, if you, like Jeff said, if you have knowledge in a particular area, you know, want to come share that, you know, would really love and encourage that. So I'm not sure what my next show is either. I had a couple of topics planned out. You had suggested something. I don't remember what it was now. But I don't know, whatever it is, I'm sure it'll be great and knowledgeable. So.
That's right. All right. So again, thank you everyone for watching.
Thank y'all.
Take us out of here.
All right. Hey guys, it's tough out there. Be good to one another. But most of all, remember, peace, love, and comics. Good night, all.
See ya.